Hello, and thank you for watching The Righteous Kitchen, a cooking and baking blog found at www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. We are back and ready to get to decorating this 8-inch Hershey's chocolate cake. And I have my photo here, my inspiration of what I want the frosting of the decorated cake to look like. So we're going to start. So I've gathered up some supplies. I've got a small offset spatula, a large offset spatula, a bench scraper to smooth the frosting on the sides, a spatula, and then I have an 8-inch round and a cake plate. So, and then here are my cakes I made. Watch the video on how to put together the cake layers. I've had these stored in the refrigerator or the freezer for several days, and these are completely frozen. I take them out just as I am going to begin decorating. And these are wrapped with 5 or 6 layers of plastic wrap and foil. And then I also keep the parchment on them as well. We'll put one over here. We'll just put him off to the side. And what I'm going to do today is nothing very complicated, but we should come up with a decent looking cake that looks like you put a little effort into it. All right. Now you could, if you want, split the layers. You'd have to have a lot of frosting, or sometimes I do that with a mousse filling. So let's get these layers side by side, and they've baked up pretty even, so and they're flat, so I'm not going to trim them or anything. When you're deciding what layer you want on the top, you're gonna want a nice flat layer. This looks really good, so I'm gonna save this one for the top, and I'll use this one for the bottom. So, let me wipe my hands. I want to always start, let's move this closer. See if you can see that. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so I'm using a cake round that's the same size of my cake. So I want it, when I transfer it to the cake plate, there's not going to be a border of this cake round. So I'm going to use my offset spatula, and I'm going to just get a small amount and put it on your board. And this is going to keep your cake anchored. Now, before I start with this, I'm going to get any crumbs and just press them around the side of the cake. All right. So I'll put that right in the center. And you can go around again. Get all of that. Any crumbs, just smush them into the side. All right. So I'm going to give my hands a quick rinse. And then we're going to start with our layer of chocolate buttercream. And that's going to go right in the middle. So I'm going to put a generous amount. And then I'm going to work from the center. And then I'm going to go towards the edge. Okay. Put a little bit more. So we want to just smooth out this layer. Okay. So we've got that. And we're gonna do the same thing with the top layer. We want to make sure that all those crumbs, just smash the sides with your hand and lock in those crumbs. Okay. And then we'll be ready to move on with our crumb coat. Get all these sticky cake off my hands. Now you notice when I'm working with that frozen cake, you could just manhandle it. It's frozen. The structure is sturdy. That's about the best tip that you can get, is frosting your cake while it's in a frozen state. So you could be really forceful with it. All right. So what I'm going to do now is start with this chocolate, and I'm just going to start right off the top like this. Now I want to put it, now see how it's going to tear a little bit on me? We probably need to thin this frosting down just a touch. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to put just a touch of half and half in there. And I'm just going to smooth it. And that's going to help me, even though the cake is frozen, we don't want it to tear apart if we're battling the frosting. So I'm just going to put a little bit of milk, maybe just a touch more. And this is all just trial and error. This is what you do if you're having a hard time. It's better just to fix it now instead of fighting it all the way through. Okay, so we're going to put in a generous amount of frosting. What we're doing right now, see how that's smoothing a lot better? And we'll just go there and treat it like it never happened to us. And we made a double batch of frosting, so we should be good. Now we could put on a ton of frosting now and not really have to worry if it's too much, because we'll come back here and scrape it down. Okay. Okay. Now I'm not using a turntable. If I had one, probably could make things a little bit easier. So right now we're just getting a generous amount on here. And we're not worried too much about crumbs or anything like that. Like I said, we'll get these all sealed in. We just want to get it on here and not have any issues with it tearing apart. Okay, so just take your time. There we go. Just take your time with it. Okay. Go with that. There. There. Just glop it on here. We're not doing anything technical right now. We just want to cover it with frosting. Okay. Okay. And we want to make sure that we get all the way to the bottom of the board with that frosting. All right. Okay, so we've got that on. What I'm going to do now, let me wipe my hands off a little bit. What I'm going to do now is kind of smooth that up a little bit. So I'm going to take the bench scraper and I'm just going to go completely around it, and I am using this cake board to turn it. Okay. So if I don't want any crumbs back into my frosting, what you do is just scrape it into another bowl. Now I'm going to take this and do the same thing. But this time I'm taking the edge and I'm going in. Edge and in. Edge and in. Edge and in. Edge and in. Just like that. All right. So I'm going to go around it one more time. I've got a lot firmer grip on it. And I'm trying to keep it straight and the bottom of it on the cake board. All right, so there's that. That, for this purpose, now we'll go in, and on the top I get a little bit more control with this. So I'm just gonna go in the sides and bring it to the center. All right. So we haven't done anything complicated yet. Now let me clean up let me go around and clean up this cake board a little bit. And I will put this, well, let me see here. This is, see, once you get that layer on there and it's locked in your crumbs, now, I mean, it's so much easier to work with. This is already setting up nicely because it is a frozen cake that I've started to work with. Let me get some of these areas right here. You just go back in because it didn't come out really straight. So all you do is just put more frosting in any area that you're not happy with. You just go back and fill in the gaps. Put a little bit more right here. Okay, so now I'm going to take my large offset spatula. I've got a firm, it'd be better if I had a turntable because the plate's going one way. Okay, let's just keep a firm pressure all around the side. And then just keep going around. Now back to the top again. All right. Okay. So this is the chocolate, but remember I wanted to have the vanilla buttercream blended throughout. So put some more. Put some more right here. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is pop this in the refrigerator. That's my crumb coat. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to apply the vanilla buttercream. Okay, I am back and I've got all of my utensils washed off and clean. So what I want to do now is get this vanilla buttercream, and I'm just going to dab it here and there. Now I ended up not really refrigerating the cake because I actually want this frosting to be able to move and hopefully combine a little bit with the chocolate. So just randomly apply this. Okay, so wish me luck. I've never done this before. So we'll see how it goes right now. Okay. So I've got my bench scraper and I want to get it nicely up and down, and I'm trying to keep it straight up and on that cake board, the white cake board. All right, same as we did before. I like that on top. Okay, so I like the top of this so far. Let me try to, and I like the sides. I really like this little marbly effect. So let me go around it again. Firm pressure. Nice firm pressure. Straight up and down. Put a little bit in. This here, since it's already marbled, you could go in. There's one little spot there. The rest of it looks pretty good. Okay, so I'll get this one little area. And this cake is wanting to turn on me. Okay, there's one right there. Since the cake is frozen, I just pulled up a little. There we go. We're just gonna do that. I could probably smooth out this little area better. But I like this little effect going on. Okay, so now I'm just gonna tidy up a little area here, this top, and I kind of want it to go in to get a nice edge. like that. Very pretty. So what I'm going to do is clean up this board right here. I'm just going to scrape that on the edge. And that'll clean up nicely. That's pretty good. So I'm going to clean up this, and very happy with that outcome of that. So I think now I probably would have put a little bit less of the white frosting on the sides, but I mean, I like it. I'm digging it. Very pretty marbled effect. Okay, so it starts out a little bit scary and crumbly and everything, but you just don't get yourself overwhelmed. You just persevere. Now here's a clean washcloth, and I'm just going to clean up the edge of this cake board. There we have it. All right, so that's nice and clean. I am so tickled pink with this. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to move on to the drip. So what I have here is half a cup. I won't even need all of this. I'm just going to use it for something else for my next cheesecake. But I have a half a cup of Ghirardelli white chocolate chips and about a teaspoon of Crisco. So I'm going to put that in the microwave for about 10 seconds. And then we'll give it a stir. So we've got our base piped with the chocolate and the vanilla buttercream with that striation effect, a marble effect. It didn't take too much vanilla. We really want this cake to focus on the chocolate. So the chocolate is mainly there. The vanilla is just to give it some interest and some contrast. So now we're going to concentrate on the drip border. So we've got these chocolate chips. We're going to heat them up in 10-second intervals, and then we're going to stir it each time. So this is our second round. And we'll just keep going. We don't want to burn this chocolate. So just go slow. Doesn't take much for chocolate to melt. There we go, it's already melting. So just stir it. You don't want any clumps in here. So just stir this until it's completely lump free. It only took about 30 seconds or so to get it there. Okay, so wish me luck because... Alright, so I'm going to use this bench scraper here and just kind of test how this drip would work. So if this is the edge of the cake, how does that work? And I like how that's a nice slow drip there. If you want a little bit more, you just put a little bit more. So I'm pretty happy with that. Seems doable. So I've got this little, this is a Turkish teaspoon, brought all the way from Turkey. A little souvenir that my in-laws brought me. So here we go. So you have the control where you want your drips. If you want more, then you put more. It's all up to you because you've got a really great consistency. It's going to be easy for you to decide right where you want them. So you're just going to work your way around the cake. And this drip idea is not anything new. I saw a post of an old cookbook from the 40s and they were doing drips. So this has come back into fashion, I guess. So this is my second ever drip. So you can do it too. I think the key is just not having your white chocolate too hot. You just want it to flow down there a little bit slow. And you could just let it do its thing, or you could help it along, and looks like you could just basically, doesn't seem too hard to let it fall exactly where you help it along to fall. It's very relaxing. I think the trickiest part for me is probably going to be that piping that rope border. Alright, so we've made it around the whole cake now, and that's not too shabby. I can deal with it. Alright, so we are going to move right on along. I'm going to just pop this in the fridge to let it set up just a little bit, because I don't want to smear anything when I go to pipe that buttercream border. So let me come right back. Okay, for the rope border, we're using a number 4. It's a Wilton 4B. I'm going to fold this bag over. And we're going to fill this up with our buttercream. All right. So this is going to take a lot of frosting. Shake that down in there real good. A little bit more. Okay. I'm going to wash my hands a little bit before I get to piping. Grab the cake. There's the cake. So I'm going to find a part of the cake that I don't like as well as the others. And that's going to be my back of the cake where I can work off of just to get the hang of this till I get a good flow with the piping bag. All right. So I am not a professional baker, but I bake. So you want this in there really good and packed really well. All right. So ideally, I'm going to come in here and swirl it around. Okay. So I need to turn it. And each time that I turn it, I'm kind of stopping towards the bottom and hopefully covering it with the next one. But I just letting it kind of have a tilt to it. All right. Okay. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, so I don't think it's bad for the first time. I'm going to do that so this would lay down a little bit more. Okay. I don't think that's bad at all. So here is our inspiration. We've got the rope crown, the marbled vanilla and chocolate, and we've got the drip. The only thing that we don't have is the little sprinkles at the bottom. And to tell you the truth, I really don't think that I am going to do the sprinkles at the bottom. Let me go to the back of the cake and just kind of see if it's something that I like or not. So just from just kind of looking at it, I don't think I'm going to want these on here. So you would just kind of take them. Let me get a knife and you just kind of take these little things and just press them in there. Just press them into the cake. But I mean, I don't really think, I think this is a little more formal, and then I think that these could bring it down. So that's not the look I'm going for after all. And you know, things can change as you're designing. That's okay. You don't really know unless you try it out. So what I'm going to do is get a little bit of that frosting and just smooth over that. And they'll never even know that we were experimenting right there. Okay, so there's our cake. That was quite fun. We did a little, we ventured out of my comfort zone and made a decent looking cake. And I could say, you know, that that's something that I've done. Nothing was complicated. Like I said, I'm no expert, but I can make a decent looking cake and not be afraid to try new ideas. So there you have it. Hershey's chocolate cake with a drip border and a piped rope border. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.